So it was Tony Robbins who said the strongest force in human personality is the need to be consistent in how we define ourselves. So this is a little mouthful statement, but I want to dissect this statement, combining with different segments in this video so that we can understand that the strongest addiction that we humans have is to be in that familiar self. Even Joe Dispenza has this book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, right? So being yourself, the way that we do things in a way that we have been doing becomes a habitual, familiar state of being that is highly addictive for a lot of people. So let's go back to this Tony's statement. The strongest force in human personality, right? There's a force that makes us stuck in a certain place in this identity that we are performing is the need, right? People feel like they need to be attached to stay consistent, to keep doing the same thing in how we define ourselves. So how do you define yourself? Who you think you are, how you see yourself in your mind, the conception of you, the self-image, the worthiness, self-esteem that you have, you might not have, becomes stuck in your day-to-day life, and we keep doing the same thing over and over. Let me share another statement that is very actually fun to share, that was shared by Bob Proctor, who was in the movie The Secret. He said, everybody already knows what they need to be doing differently to change their life. I want you to kind of sit with that a little bit and see if that's true for you, right? Everybody already knows what they need to be doing differently to change the result outcome in their life. But here's the key. He said, but nobody knows why they're not doing it. Yeah, everybody already knows what else they need to be doing differently to change the outcome and result, right? And that could be waking up a little bit earlier, or staying consistent with the practice, or do things or not do things, right? Doing things more of what serves you and releasing things, more of the things that's not serving you, right? It's simple, right? If you want to go to this direction, you just follow this and this and this. If you don't want to go to this direction, you release this and this and this and this and this. Yeah. Everybody already knows what they need to be doing differently to change the outcome and result. But then they keep doing the same thing over and over, and they don't know why they're not doing the different thing. So it's very interesting, right? This both talks about the subconscious mind that runs and leads our behavior. And many people want to change their life and see something different, and they keep doing the same thing in an autopilot mode. So these two statements by Tony and Bob are, for me, talking about the same thing. And then they're talking about the familiar self. And then there's somebody named Antonio Damasio, she's a neuroscientist, I believe. He uses an autobiographical self, right? You have your autobiography. I have my autobiography. The path that I have lived, you have lived. And there is a sense of self that was created through that experience. And then that imagery of how you see you lives in your mind. And we are married to that person and stay forever married, not wanting to change. Yeah. So the strongest force in human personality, the need to stay consistent in how we define ourselves. The strongest addiction in humans is to stay in the familiar self. Now, how do we change it, right? Everybody already knows what they need to be doing differently. Nobody knows why they're not doing it, right? What do we need to do in order to know and understand why we're not doing, to flip that, to be able to do it? Yeah. So to understand that, we must understand the subconscious belief, subconscious behavior, right? We have a desire and we have something that we want in the mind that we think about it. And then what we want to do is to begin directing our mind attention to that version. Yeah. Let me share another statement that's stated by Bob Proctor. He said, if you're not deliberately forming a good habit, you unconsciously start forming a bad one. Yeah. So let's apply that in this context of conversation, right? Now, you have a desire, you have a different outcome in life that you want to create, and you get excited about it. But then something happens, or life gets in a way, or you get distracted, and you're going to slip back into this past, present, autobiographical mode. Yeah. Most people are familiar with that, right? You were doing good and you kind of get slipped back, right? Now, if you're not deliberately forming a good habit to keep your attention is what we want to cultivate first, right? Attention to the desired outcome, you unconsciously slip back into the version of you that you're currently living. Yeah. So can we stay our mind's attention to stay connected onto your desire, right? Let's make this practical. As you watch and listen to this, I want you to maybe write down or imagine, picture one thing that you're desiring that you're not currently experiencing in the 3D physical world, right? You might be able to picture that in your mind, and then imagery, through your visualization, you might be able to travel there right away. Yeah. So there is an outside 3D version of your life and the inside 4D, that's how I call it, a 4D imagination version of life, right? Which one are you paying attention to more all the time, every day, weekly? It's interesting. I run a visualization challenge and I talk about thoughts and visualization. And it sounds fun, and it sounds like something that we can do to be able to remove stress, to be able to navigate the mind. But it's much, much more than that. It's so powerful because if you're deliberately navigating your mind's attention to your desire, and then you want to be able to lock yourself into that version, that life, that desire, that becoming in that desire life is not your familiar self. So internally, you take your attention to that version of you that is living the life of your desire. And this is interesting, right? Many people tell me, okay, I understand that, but then I get sort of caught up in this 3D physical reality, right? So we want to practice living in this 4D imagination stronger and longer than the 3D physical world. That's how much you want to stay there. And you want to stay in that desire, fulfillment of the desire, and the new version of you, the new expanded belief, the new way of being in that energy through your visualization until you forget that that wasn't your 3D reality. Let me say this again. You want to be in that imagination and the feeling of the desire fulfilled, the new becoming, the 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 new upgraded version of self per se. In that energy, through your visualization and through the feeling of that visualization, long enough and intense enough that you feel joyful and excited until you forget that that wasn't happening yet in the 3D physical world. Are you living there enough? Yeah. So it's interesting. We started with this addiction to the familiar self. How do we get out of that addiction to the familiar self? Using your imagination and visualization, and begin setting an intention that when you believe that this version, the new version of me, is going to manifest because I'm imagining and feeling all the time, and because you are the portal that the infinite can express through you. You can manifest whatever it is that you believe to be manifested. When you enter into that energy and begin living in that desire fulfillment long enough and intense enough, the outside world is going to change inevitably by law. This is a universal law. Yeah. So my invitation to you is to stay in this energy of the desire fulfillment long enough than the current default state. And if you need help in having a structure and having a deep dive into step by step, taking into different lessons and meditation visualization, check the link below on 21 days creative visualization challenge for you to be able to lock yourself in to live in the energy pool of the fulfillment of the desire. So thank you for watching. Comment any question, and I'll see you in the next video.